Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of SAMP&CHANCE Boxing. That means it's Thursday, and I'm sitting here with my man in the Willie Nelson shirt, Mr. Chance. Michaels, Chance, how are you, bud?
Doing pretty good yourself.
Can't complain, man. Here we are. Thursday means the weekend is just around the corner. Good times, good times. The weather's looking great, but it looks like it's going to be pissing rain this weekend.
Yeah, that's what it says. It's really nice right now. Before we get
Wow.
started, I got to give a quick shout out to one of my dear friends, best friends. This guy, his name is Nate Olson. He just passed away. He's 49. Not sure the cause of death yet. He's part of the Ringside Mafia. It Jerry's crew of guys, and this guy was a hardcore fight fan. He was at all the shows, front row. Not the last couple of years, but from like 2008, like 2018. I see him all the time. Well-known guy, and he was an instructor of Krav Maga. Do you know what that is?
Yeah, it's a combat style.
Yeah, I know. So when most people know what it is, Israeli self-defense they use
Yeah.
in armies. So they started using that back in the day, and then people were criticizing it, saying there's no ground game with it, no ground game with it, which is true. So they evolved it. Basically, just boxing, kickboxing. They put it and made it their own swing on it, and then they added jujitsu to the ground because they had no ground game. But basically, what it's for is hand-to-hand combat. Teach you
Hmm.
how to disarm a guy with a knife, with a rifle, all kinds of military situations. So yeah, Nate was not a guy to be played with. He was tough, good guy if he liked you, but if he didn't like you, you could be in for a long night. So rest in peace, Mr. Nate Olson, instructor of Krav Maga, and he told me a lot about it, and it's an interesting discipline if you want to call it that. So
All right, cool,
rest in
man.
peace, brother. Part of the ringside mafia. They were at all the fights, every MMA fight, every boxing fight. I see him there with Jerry and all the time, and yeah, that's all we got.
Cool. Well, not cool, unfortunately. But cool that you're remembering him.
Mm.
But let's remember what happened this past weekend, man. I think
Yeah,
it's one of the biggest travesties this year, anyways. I won't say of all time, but definitely changed the outcome and the direction of that particular contest. I'm referring to Tank Davis against Lamont Roach Jr. Um, Tank lost. I'm going to start with that, man, right off the bat. I think Tank lost that fight. And if he didn't take that knee and if the referee was actually being a referee, Lamont would have walked out of that with
yeah.
that belt. Your
Yeah, it
thoughts?
was a huge flop by the ref at first. So when Dave, what you're talking about is in round nine there when Davis was caught with a punch in the eye. That's what made him go down, right? He went down late though, and the ref started counting. Davis got up to know there's grease in my eye, there's grease in my eye. Went to the corner, got it rubbed off, blamed his hairdresser. He got his hair done on Thursday. The grease wasn't still there on Saturday. She denies all that. So I'll get a quick breakdown of the fight here, but yeah, Lamont Roach won. He got robbed, but Davis gets the hometown decision. Just like Gretzky got the calls, it's like Jordan got the calls, Mahomes got the calls. It
Yeah.
just kind of goes with the territory. On not right, but that's how it goes. So the scorecards, the judges had it 115, 113 for Davis, and
No.
then other two judges had it 114, 114, which
Yeah.
makes the majority draw, the first blemish ever on Javante Tanks Davis's record. Early rounds saw Davis controlling the pace with his jab and power shots, though Roach stayed competitive, pressing forward and landing counters. By the middle rounds, Roach's activity picked up and he began catching Davis with hooks and body shots, visibly troubling the champion at times. The ninth round became the flashpoint we just talked about. Davis took a knee, later claiming it was due to grease or hair product in his eye. But the referee, Steve Willis, didn't count it as a knockdown, a decision that caused outrage. Without that call, Roach missed a potential 10-8 round that could have swung the fight in his favor, and we got a majority draw. And Roach came to play. I don't know what was wrong with Tank that night. He just didn't look
Well,
himself.
I'm looking at it from this perspective. You got a guy who's already saying he's going to retire. He's already got retirement on his mind. I really feel that he picked Lamont because he thought it would be an easy fight. This is just my thinking. I'm not
Absolutely, he did.
his mind. This is just my opinion. I think he picked an easy fight, and by doing so, he didn't come prepared. If you're thinking retirement, how prepared are you going to be going into a fight? In my opinion, especially one
Well,
where
he's not thinking of retirement. He's just saying that for bigger pays. I don't believe him for a minute.
regardless, just to have
Yeah.
the thought in your mind and you come and put on a performance like that. We know Tank is a slow starter. We get that
Mm-hmm.
because he takes time to register. Up until the fifth round, the guy was smiling. And then once he realized he's not going anywhere with this guy, because for everything he was throwing, Lamont was matching him and coming back with his counters. And he was tagging him. One thing I can say, Tank's got a chin. He can take a punch. right?
Yep.
We know that now. We know that Tank can take a punch. That was one of the things that a lot of people weren't sure of. Like, if Tank really gets hit like that, right? We haven't really seen that before. So,
Also, Roach is a little bit bigger than him, a little bit stronger. Definitely size played a difference here. You can just look like the bigger man. He
well,
looks
no, right,
stronger.
right.
Tank couldn't
No,
bully him.
fair enough, fair enough. I mean, if we're looking at height and stuff like that, Garcia was taller than him too.
Yeah, but Garcia's not thick. Lamont's got that like thick build. Garcia's more
Yeah,
skinny,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, these guys do have the history of going back to the amateurs and the Junior Olympics and stuff like that. They're gonna run it back. I think, late summer, maybe. That's what
No,
I'm hearing.
Tank wants it end of May. He wants to put
Oh,
the pedal down and get moving on. Not saying that will happen,
yeah,
but
yeah.
that's what he's asking for.
Well, I mean, again, shame on Tank. You didn't come prepared. You cheated, and it worked out. Like, I don't even know if he was trying to cheat, but I mean, it didn't help that
He
Steve.
wasn't really trying to cheat. He was just trying to gain an advantage.
Yeah, but you're never allowed to, like, even when you
Too
go.
embarrassed to say it was a knockdown, so he got up and did the grease thing.
No, I agree. I understand that, but how often do you get a corner coming in
He
and
got
being?
he got a jab in the eye that bothered him, so he took a
Yeah,
quick knee and realized, oh shit, and that's what happened.
yeah, yeah. All
Too
right.
bad.
Well, for that fight, we had Jose Venezuela going up against Gary Russell Jr. Wow, it was not the fight that I expected, my friend. I mean, Gary basically controlled that entire fight. Venezuela just didn't look like he was there. I mean, we've seen that from him before in the past as well, in his other losses, where he either he shows up and he's 100% and he's unstoppable, or he shows up and he's just lost in the lights. I don't get it. I the psychology piece, like maybe he needs to work with someone on that because you figure you train for 8 weeks, you're getting prepared for this fight. Mentally, I would think one would be ready, but he just looked like he wasn't there.
Yeah, yeah. Let's break it down here. I'll just give a quick general overview. Through I put it on X so you can read it all. We'll just talk about rounds 1 to 4. I'm not going to read it all out. It's too much. Russell set the tone immediately, applying suffocating pressure and outworking Venezuela with a high volume of punches.
Yeah.
He landed crisp jabs and hooks, targeting both the body and head, while Venezuela struggled to find his rhythm. Rayo, as they call him, landed occasional counters, including a solid right in round 2, but it couldn't deter Russell's advance. Russell's speed, activity overwhelmed Venezuela. He seemed tentative. Venezuela probably was scared of Russell's power. That basically sums it all up. And Russell he's amazing, man. He's a tough fighter. He's fun to watch, just like his dad. And I dedicated that fight to his dad, and it was a good fight.
No, definitely.
Venezuela
his brother
just got outmatched.
His brother was in the corner with him as well. So I mean,
Yeah.
Respect to Gary Russell Jr. I mean, he deserves the victory. There's not shying it away from it. I think it's just more of the shock. And this is the unfortunate part that the other guy didn't show up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
People are talking about that. I feel more than they're talking about the actual victory that he earned.
Yeah.
And deserves. I mean, but hey, man, that's a beautiful.
And then,
beautiful...
I think there was like 30 seconds left in the 12th round. His mouthpiece got knocked out.
Yeah.
But he kept fighting Rails, man. He landed some late blows, but it was too little, too late.
Yeah, no, he's
a warrior.
He doesn't quite. He's a warrior, 100%. But here's just another case. I think it was when he fought Navarrete. Was it Navarrete? Same kind of thing. Venezuela. No, did he fight Navarrete, Venezuela?
No, he didn't.
Sorry, who am I thinking
Not
about?
that I can remember.
Yeah. Okay. Anyways, I've seen other fights where Jose's lost where he just looks the same. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, he fought hard. He tried. He was fighting to the very end. His mouthpiece got knocked out, hitting Russell some heavy shots, but too little, too late.
Too little, too late.
Impressive
All right,
performance
man.
by Gary Russell Jr.
The kickoff press conference took place for the show May 2nd in Times Square, which is incidentally free, man.
Yeah, just get. They're gonna say you can't really charge for where they're gonna sit, right? You kind of stand around. You just apply to get the tickets and put your name on a list and get them.
It just shows you how much money these guys have, eh? Like you're putting a card like this on,
Well, they got lots of sponsors and stuff, right? But
I appreciate that, but still, the amount of money, how much would it cost? Like, okay, you're looking at shutting down roads. You're looking down, it's a big production, man. It's nothing, you're basically cutting off traffic.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's going to be so much money for hotels and businesses and so many sponsors, right? But it's a cool event outdoors.
No, it's going to be cool, man. And it's early spring, so the East Coast starts to warm up a little bit by that point.
Yeah.
But yeah, out here on the West Coast, cherry blossoms already started, which is beautiful.
Awesome.
But what do you think of the press conference, man? I think Tio stole the whole show.
Well, yeah, I wrote a little piece on it about X, and like I said on there, Tio was saying you guys are boring, you guys don't say anything. So what does he do to make the press conference fun? So we're all talking about it. He starts talking smack, which is fun because it's fun for us to listen to it, right? So, Tio just goes off, mouths off this guy, mouths off Garcia. Him and Garcia are going back and forth, trading insults. They're not even fighting each other, but we all know they're going to fight each other soon. The money that fight would make and the press conferences those two guys can come up with, and they're great on the stick. They insult each other, and we're going to see Garcia and Teofimo soon. I mean, Haney was relaxed. Romero guys, it was all Garcia and
I
Lopez.
expected more from Haney and Garcia because they were on the same, stage together and whatnot. But both those guys were so subdued for most of that press conference, man. I'm not.
This is a scary Garcia, like you said. He was more subdued. He was usually, if you watch his last press conference with Devin Haney, he's bouncing around, he's pushing guys, he's swearing, threatening everybody. I mean, he was arguing with Teofimo. That was more for show, but he was calm in the stare down. He wasn't jittery.
I really
think he's sober.
I really think that exactly. I think he wasn't playing in the snow.
Yeah, he's sober. He's not in energy drinks. He's not using drugs.
Right?
He admitted too much drinking and drugs. He admitted that in the press conference. He never admitted to the steroids. He never will. Neither will Canelo. So
no.
But it was a good press conference. But I'm glad Teofimo kicked it off.
It's interesting how many guys are working with Eddie Reneso right now. You got Ryan Garcia working with Reneso. You have I think Teofimo's down there too, working with Reneso.
I'm not sure on that actually.
Yeah. That's what I heard. Both those guys are down there, and there's someone else down there as well. Canelo, obviously, right?
Yeah.
They kicked off the press conference for Canelo Scroll happening in Saudi Arabia as well. That Mexican that Cinco de Mayo weekend's looking pretty good. We got that card on the second, then on the third
one.
we get the Scroll and
Canelo
fight, and then Inouye's fighting, I believe, on the third.
I think I can't remember what date he's fighting, but he's fighting right around there. So there's a lot of big fights coming up.
Yeah, so May's looking good right now, my friend. All right, brother man, here's the news of the week so far. Dana White, Turkey have gotten together. They are going to create a new boxing league with rankings, their own belt. So they're basically breaking away from the four governing bodies and starting their own thing. It's huge. But I think this is more needed for North America than anywhere else. In my opinion, I don't think this affects Europe. I don't think it really is something they need to do in Europe. This is more for North America. The reason I'm saying that is because every weekend, the UK, Europe shows are all selling out regardless. They're doing stadiums, they're doing arenas. And I was looking back at it. I'm thinking, how many fights have we had in North America of any type of prominence? Like maybe 3 or 4 in the last year. You know what I mean? And it's going to be interesting to see this league, man. We don't have a lot of details on it, but yeah, your thoughts.
Well, he gave us the basic idea, which I've been saying this for years. First of all, the boxing papers are way too long. And the problem with the Riyadh season is this. Before the main event, you have to hear the Saudi Arabian national anthem. And if you get a guy from England, you got to hear his national anthem. You got a guy from America, you hear his national anthem. All that crap's gone. You don't need that. I've been saying that. Dana White even said that on first day. We're cutting all that out. When you have a fight in boxing, there's a 20 minutes in between where you go to the guys up top and they're having like basically a podcast. That's not happening anymore. The fights are going to flow like UFC flows. It's going to have a ranking system like UFC. 1 belt per division, not 4 belts. Heavyweight champion's a heavyweight champion. And they're going to try to they're not saying who, but they got their eyes on some fighters, and they're going to try to run it like the UFC. And UFC puts on a good quality pay-per-view event. They're awesome live.
They had the best production. They had the best production.
And I'm glad that it's Dana White, because he's obviously the best matchmaker in combat sports. We can even include wrestling in that. He puts in the fights they want to see. Turkish is smart enough to realize that. Who else, if you're going to make a boxing league, who do you want to go with? You're going to go with the best matchmaker. When it's all said and done, Dana White's going to go down with Vince McMahon and Bob Arum as one of the best promoters and matchmakers of all time. And no more goofing around. The shows are going to be shorter and too much wasted time. There's a main event. I can't remember which pay-per-view it was. We waited 35 minutes for the main event. That's way too long. And UFC are waiting 5 to 6 tops. And that stuff's got to stop.
Ngannou and Tyson Fury, I believe.
Too many national anthems. And the thing is, this doesn't start till 2026, right? So they got to plan it out. They're going to do all that. But the thing is, guys like, Golden Boy and all these and Top Rank, they have the best fighters. So Dana White wants to pluck these guys. He's going to pluck them like they pluck the guys from Pride. They want this boxing. They haven't even told us what they're going to call it yet. They want this to be number 1. So these other promotions got to get together and say, you're not taking our fighters, pay them a little more and keep them and push these guys back. But once you give Dana White and Turkish an inch, you're going to take a mile and they'll crush you all. So they got to tread very cautiously here.
Why, I don't think it's just the promoters, man. I think it's the governing bodies that have
Well, yeah, those guys will be done too. They got to all band together.
they force their hand. I think it's especially the IBF. If you look at the four bodies, IBF's the assholes of the whole bunch, man. You know, they're like the zebras of the Serengeti, always just running around, running amok and causing problems. Like, why would you strip Canelo of the IBF title just after he won it? What are you trying to prove? The same thing, you know, with Usyk, they stripped him of the IBF title. Like, IBF, in my opinion, has created most of these problems and of all the four governing bodies, right?
Yeah.
You know, I don't. I think Frank and Bob, Frank, Bob, I guess all four of them need to get together and figure
Oscar.
something out here, right? You know, Oscar, Bob, Frank,
They just gotta say, listen, guys, we're gonna put on the best fights. You know, your guy will fight my guy. We're not gonna hold it back. The only thing is, some of these boxers like Canelo, and I don't want to say Tank because he's for some of these guys, right? Some of the top stars, they won't want to join up with Turkish and Dana White because they don't want to have to fight who they're told to fight. You're not going to be handpicking anymore. Dana White's going to say, "Okay, you're ranked number one, you're ranked number two. You guys are fighting, or you're out, or you're stripped," and that's not going to fly no more.
Which is why I was saying to her earlier, I think the approach that these are going to take, like, okay, this thing's going to start up in 2026, right?
Yeah.
But I believe, just like the UFC, because it's the exact same model as the UFC, okay? I believe, in my opinion, and you can disagree with me if you're not, you know, if you want to, but I feel that what they're going to start to do is look at like the Keyshawn Davises and stuff like that of that elk, you know, trying to pluck guys from the Olympics and stuff like that coming out of the amateurs, as most of these promotions do. I think if you're looking at established guys, I think the guys that we saw yesterday or earlier this week in New York are the prime targets for this company. You're not going to get the Canelos, you're not going to get the Crawfords. They're too old by the time it starts up. If they come in, it's because it's just to, you know, the money's that good. These guys are used to making 30, 50 million dollars a purse. They're not going to get that in this league, right?
No.
So that's the other piece here, which is why I'm saying we are going to see younger, up and coming talent. Like, you know, a guy like Jared Anderson would be perfect for this, in my opinion. You know, you have to look at those kind of guys that to start this league up. You're not going to get the big names. I can see Tio going over there. I can see Ryan going over there. You know, these are guys who don't need the money, but they're the guys that I would be looking at to kind of build this promotion up.
He's going to mix. He's going to have youth. He's going to have experience. Maybe not a Canelo, but he's going to have some veterans. He's going to do what he does at UFC. Have the veterans, have the young guys.
True.
They're going to have it. And all the fighters, all the boxing guys who sign up for this league will have access to the nutrition, the UFC workout facility, all that stuff. So they're going to try to build up, like you said, but also use established stars, just like they did with the Pride guys, and mix and match it. And the best part about this is no more goof around on these pay-per-views. Stop making us wait 30 minutes before the fight. We don't need to hear 3 national anthems. Whatever country you're in, that's the anthem you get. No more.
No, I appreciate
outrageous.
it. So, but my wondering is this now, so we're looking long term, okay? And because this is all I can look at it now is long term, because I want, you know, we won't know anything until it starts. Right? Even after it starts, it's going to take a few years for it to kind of really start getting its wheels turning, right?
I think they're going big, just like Turkish. They're going big right away, dude.
Maybe they're going to go big, but what I'm saying is I hear they're going to do 4 super fights this year together. Okay. I think one of those fights will be the Canelo Crawford fight. Right. That's going to be
under that new banner. Yeah.
Right. So under that banner, it's not going to be under that banner per se, but they're going to be running it accordingly to that. So we're going to get like maybe 3 or 4 super fights, I understand, this year that are going to be somewhat inclined to that banner. One guy that I'm curious about here, and no one's really talked about, is Jake Paul. Like, the Saudis don't like him. Dana doesn't like him. This would be a perfect guy for this organization.
Well, Jake Paul's put on a big fight. Actually, thanks for bringing that up. July 11th on Netflix's MVP promotion.
Yeah, he's got
Toronto versus Taylor 3. So good on Jake. And that's a free fight again for him. He's the only guy in boxing doing that.
Yeah, no, 100%. But I mean, it just kind of like, okay, I wonder how this affects MVP. Where do these guys fit in, right? You know, I mean,
well, we know TKO loves the Paul brothers because Logan's a sponsor of them, and he's a former champion in TKO. So
yeah, but Turki
I can see Jake.
Like him, huh? Turki doesn't like him.
Doesn't matter if he's going to make a good fight. He's going to have a good fight. You got to put your pride. Like Dana White said, and McMahon said, you put your pride aside.
Yeah,
for a good fight. So
No, I
you
get
could
that.
see Jake Paul. He's pretty young. It's possible.
He's young enough. He'd be someone that you want to bring into this organization. Like if you're looking for names, because right now, look at UFC right now, okay? No matter how crappy it looks, in my opinion, right now, they're still selling out every show that they go
Yeah.
to. Okay. But they have a huge problem on their hands right now. There's no one there who has that star power right now. They don't.
They got Alex Pereira. He's fighting on Saturday.
Well, no,
He's
I
probably
get
their biggest
about
star.
Alex Pereira, but you know what I mean? Like you don't have that Connor-esque anymore, right? Sean O'Malley's really, everyone you thought was going to carry the company in the next couple of years, they've all lost.
Yeah,
They're all fading.
it's sort of like WWE. It's just about the brand, right? It's like the thing with WWE, you can use a 50-year-old guy. You can't do
Yeah.
that in UFC. So now it's UFC. The name sells it. NFL sells it. Just that brand. The same with WWE. Just the name. It doesn't even really matter anymore.
The other question I have regarding all this is as this progresses, and we're starting to look at the new crop of generation of fighters, we come from the four belt era.
Mhm.
We grew up with that. For me, that still means something, right? You can't just dismiss the WBA, the WBO, WBC titles because greats like Hagler, Ali, Fraser, you name it, go down the line. All these great names that have held those belts, right? My thinking is will they start to push it in such a way where they start to say that these belts don't matter, only this belt matters?
No, it's exactly what's going to happen here, and I can tell you exactly. Dana White said Vince McMahon is an absolute genius, the best boss he ever worked for. Great, probably the greatest promoter of all time is Vince. What are they doing here? They do exactly what Vince did to everybody else. That NWA belt now, lots of legends had the NWA belt. Ric Flair, the Funks, all that. It doesn't mean much anymore. Same thing will happen here. It'll fade into obscurity.
Will the four governing bodies basically crumble at some point in the next 15, 20 years?
I think they'll still be around, but they're going to fade into obscurity like the NWA.
So
Nobody watches the NWA.
the reality of it is then at some point, because right now, if you think about it, if you want to be the world heavyweight champion of wrestling, what belt do you want?
They own the WWE belt.
Okay, if you want to be the best MMA fighter in the world, what belt?
UFC. That's exactly what's going to happen to the governing body eventually.
So basically, you look at the weight classes now. How is this going to affect fighters? Because every weight class is almost like 3 to 7, 3 to 4 pounds difference between weight classes.
Well, they're going to cut out some of the weight classes too.
Right?
Too
So
many.
you got that. So like all of a sudden, I'm just saying, say Imita, what's his name? Imita Umuzo, the British young guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Say he wins, the WBC World Heavyweight Championship in 5 years. And whoever is that, say Jared Anderson, he goes with the TKO program and he becomes heavyweight champion in their UFC or whatever they're going to call it, boxing league. What title holds more rank?
Well, it depends how many people are tuning in. Whatever people watch the most and pay-per-views they buy the most holds the most rank. Example, WWE. Nobody watches NWA.
Yeah.
So that's what.
How long will it take? Like, how long are we going to wait?
That all depends on how Aram and De La Hoya and these guys can get it together.
No, 100%.
And the thing is, Aram's going to be gone in a couple of years, right? So they'll probably just buy up Top Rank. Once Aram goes in, just buy up all those guys. I can see that happening.
Look, I'm looking at it from this perspective as well. Okay, UFC's coming up now. They're actually due for their TV deals coming to an end. So they're starting the negotiations. Now, Nick Khan is involved in these negotiations on behalf of TKO, obviously, right? Not for UFC. I can almost see it now that because Top Rank is leaving ESPN, they have no boxing now there. It almost makes sense. Hey, if you want to keep UFC, which is a huge moneymaker for ESPN, you got to take this boxing league as well.
Well, it's funny that you say that. I was listening to First Take the other day, and Dana White said we're looking for TV rights deal. Dana White is always on First Take. What's First Take? It's on ESPN. So
I almost feel that what's going to happen is because of the Netflix deal that they inked with the WWE. I almost get a feeling that we're going to get fight nights and we're going to get like other kind of programming from UFC on ESPN, but the pay-per-views will start showing on Netflix.
Possible. Yeah, they're up to something, dude. Dana White and Turkish, they're hardworking guys.
That Netflix deal has to be more than just WWE. It has to be, in my opinion, right? And why not put UFC there? That the rate and the reach that it will have will be so much more than they're accomplishing right now.
Yeah, they're up to something, dude. It's good. I'm glad they're doing it. It's going to force all other companies to step it up, or you're going to lose a lot of your fighters.
No, 100%. I'm looking forward to it. Look, I'm not shitting on it. I'm
Dana
excited
White's been
because
saying
it's
this for
new,
years. He's been saying, I'm going to
right?
get back into boxing. His Contender Series was very successful, and Turkish and him made it happen. And all because Vinnie Mac, he bridged the Saudi Arabia gap. He's the first guy to take WWE over Saudi Arabia. He knew it was there, and the rest follows suit. That's the
He
visionary
took
that Vince is.
all the shit. Everyone else is now praising it, this and that, but at that time, everyone was shitting on Vince for doing it.
Yeah,
Oh, the political. But you know what, though, man? I've always stated this, and I'll say it again. If there's one place that should just be what it is, it's sports. I don't care what
yeah,
sport it is. Sports should not involve politics in any form and should not include religion in any form, in my opinion.
agreed.
That's just my opinion. And when I say a religion, I don't mean a person thanking God at the end of a victory or thanking God for keeping them safe or no one getting
Yeah,
hurt. I get that. The end of the game stuff, I have no problem with it. But if you're using your platform for politics and religious stuff, I think that's wrong in sports. That's just my opinion,
yeah,
right?
totally agree.
I don't watch sports to hear political opinions. If I want to do that, I'll watch CNN.
Well, that's why nobody watches Saturday Night Live and the Oscars anymore. It's just a political hit show.
Well, I mean, it's a political satire, but I know what you're.
No, no, no. The Oscars is all these people crying and whining about
Oh, I
this
didn't
and
watch
that.
the Oscar. I
Yeah,
stopped. I stopped watching the
exactly.
Oscars in the '90s.
Exactly, dude. Their ratings go down every year because nobody cares anymore because there's a bunch of celebrities crying and whining, telling
You know,
us how to live. Go screw
everyone's
yourself.
always crying and complaining, blah blah blah. You know what? Enough's enough. Like I go to a movie to watch a movie, not to hear. Even concerts. Like I don't need the artists spreading their political views at a show.
Yeah, I agree. I can't stand it.
Right? I'm there to listen to music. I'm there to appreciate it. I'm not taking away from what's going on in the world. Don't get me wrong, people. I get it. We have issues all over the world, but you know what? There's a time and place for everything. I tune into sports not to forget my problems, not to forget what's happening in the world, but it's an escape.
Yeah, agreed.
It's a place to go. And if you look at music and sports, you show me any other what's the word I'm looking for? Any other platform or any kind of event that brings left wing people, right wing people, liberals, Democrats, conservatives, Republicans, all together in one place, cheering for the same thing.
Hmm.
Right? We went to the Rolling Stones together. Obviously, they're woke people in there. There are Democrats in there, there are Republicans in there,
Hmm.
left wing, right wing, you name it. But everybody put all this shit aside and clapped their hands and sang in unison,
Yep.
right? When that happens, then why do you need to bring all that nonsense in? Same with sports. We're
Because
all
a lot of these musicians, especially, they
yeah,
think they're holier than thou. They think they're smarter than everybody.
yeah,
They think because they can catch a football or dribble a basketball, they should
yeah,
lecture us on how to live. But nobody cares what they have to say. So
yeah.
sing your songs, play your sports, and be quiet.
Okay, now this is completely boxing unrelated, but I just want to bring it up because you're more of a Renaissance man when it comes to all the sports. LeBron hit 50,000 and they're saying just because he got more than Jordan, he's the best ever. Would you agree with that or disagree?
Disagree. One of the greatest ever, definitely Mount Rushmore, definitely top four, probably the second best ever, but Jordan is the greatest ever. Now, LeBron is a better athlete at the age of 40 because we've seen Michael Jordan in 2002 when he came back at 40 for the Wizards. He was all right, but he wasn't like LeBron. So LeBron is definitely more of a genetic freak, but prime for prime, Jordan beat him. Jordan had better numbers, and Jordan went to six NBA finals, never went to a game seven, and never lost the finals. LeBron's been to
Yeah.
10, which is impressive, but he's lost six championship finals and won four.
Yeah.
So, like,
And the other piece that I will say is the game that LeBron plays in is very different from the game that Jordan played in.
yeah, there's not as no elbow, no hand
Right.
checking.
So when I say that, what I mean is, yeah, you got off 50,000 points or whatever, but keep in mind you got like almost 2 seconds to get that shot off.
Yeah,
Jordan had half a second to maybe three-fourths of a second to get that same shot off.
exactly. Yeah, you put it this way: is Gretzky is Jordan, LeBron's Lemieux. Oh, great, bigger, stronger, right there. But you take their prime body of work. Gretzky's better, Jordan's better.
Ovechkin's 10 away now.
Yeah, exactly. Look at that. He'll be an all-time goal scoring record. He's not even close to Wayne Gretzky's all-time greats. Gretzky Gretzky's have more assists than this guy's gonna ever have in points. You know what I mean? Like
No,
Gretzky's
no,
number.
100%. But we are going to see that record broken
Oh,
here,
it's coming. Yeah.
right? But you know what? Respect to Ovi though. I mean, he's an honorable guy. He played hard, and
Yeah, yeah, he's an awesome player.
he deserves it. He deserves it.
Absolutely. Some records get broken. You can't keep them all.
Look, I mean, records are meant to be broken, right? And if they aren't broken, then that means that whoever set that record is amazing.
Yeah. Nobody will ever beat Gretzky's total points in a career. That'll never be touched. It's
But that'll
impossible.
never be touched. No, and there's no way no one's going to touch his assist record, in my opinion, either.
Exactly. Imagine he would have shot the puck as much as he passed it. He would have how much more? He would have well over 1,000 goals. So,
well, that just shows the testament to what kind of player Gretzky was. He was a playmaker, right?
Exactly.
He scored. He knew he could score at any time he wanted to, right? He had that mentality. But I mean, at the end of the day, the guy was more into making plays and getting other people up there and giving them a little piece of that little cheer.
Absolutely.
All right, brother man. I tell you what, boxing history. Do we have anything that happened in the world?
We do. 19 years ago this week, undefeated WBO super middleweight champion Joe Calzaghe captured undefeated Jeff Lacey's IBF belt in a one-sided title unification class that many tipped as the American to win in Manchester. That was the whole theme for it. Calzaghe floored Lacey in the final round before getting a unanimous decision. Calzaghe nearly pulled out prior to the fight due to hand injury. The one and only Mr. Calzaghe, undefeated.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Very underrated fighter.
Anything Canadian?
No, just rest in peace, Nate Olson. Huge fight fan. One of the founders of Battlefield, the Battlefield Fight League. One of my good buddies, best friends. Ringside Mafia.
You've never mentioned him to me before, my friend.
Well, he wasn't like he's my acquaintance, but he was my buddy Jerry's good friend. He's part of the Ringside Mafia. I'm not part of the Ringside Mafia, but I do sit with him when I go to the fights. That's how well they welcome me into this world. Because I remember when I must have been 12. The first time I met Jerry at the fights, I see this guy walking around the suit, the rings. There would be no boxing in Vancouver without Jerry because he has all the rings. Every boxing fight you go to, those are Jerry's rings. I don't even know how many rings he has, like 19, something like that. That's wrestling, boxing. He's got a couple cages. So Nate's 7 years older than me. So Nate at that time, he would have been 19, 20, right? So
yeah. Hey,
but it's more about how like he's the Krav Maga instructor, like he's a hardcore martial arts fan at every fight, except for the last couple of years. He had some health issues towards the end, but he's a good guy, part of the Ringside Mafia. Every fight I went to, he was there up until I think 2022.
Fair enough. All right, so we don't have much happening this weekend in terms of big name boxing cards, but we do have Lucas Body fighting this weekend in Toronto.
Okay.
It's on Friday, March the 7th. So tomorrow night, Lucas Body's fighting a 10-round fight against Rakaza. I don't know much about him, but Lucas Body, lockout of the year, MVP card in Toronto. Now, friend of the show, Jay Bear, was supposed to be on this card, I believe, but he's not anymore. I think the guy that he was supposed to fight refused to do drug testing. So I think his fight got pushed over. I'm just looking at it here right now, man. There's really not much happening here. I'm just going through it all. Like,
there's no boxing fights that is noteworthy.
Well, dude, I know all the names here. You know who's fighting this weekend, but nothing that's going to stick out in any way.
I mean, if we really want to get down to it, there's a boxing fight going down on Saturday night at the local Vancouver club. I might go to it. But that's just those are guys that nobody's ever heard of. It's not going to mention it. It's Saturday night. Actually, my friend's putting on a boxing card. I might go check it out.
Cool. Very cool. Very cool. All right, brother man, I tell you what, let's wrap it up. It's a quick show. Nothing much more to discuss here. Is boxing change forever? We don't know. We'll wait and see. But the ball's rolling now, man. Now Eddie Hearns, Frank, and I think they've been doing a great job. Look, outside of PBC, the other guys were all working together. They're all, and that was evident. You look at the ring apron as well. Every other ring apron, maybe a Golden Boy show, a Matchroom show, Queensberry show, Top Rank show. They all have rehab season in there. PBC didn't. They they don't want anything to do with it. You know what I mean? And I think Ali Inman really has to open up his eyes now and realize
he's gonna be outside looking in if he doesn't change his ways.
So and it sucks though, because I look at the other 4 promotions that I mentioned, and they're all doing what they're supposed to be doing now. That's the funny part. You know what I mean? I thought boxing was on a great rebound, but the emergence of this Wow. And
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
Turkey saying we'll crush everyone. You're working with the guys that you're crushing. That's
That's what I'm
interesting.
saying. I'm telling you, they're going Vince McMahon style. Either join us or we're putting you out of business. If they don't join up or they don't push back, this top rank, Golden Boy, all these take place with like the NWA.
Yeah, yeah,
Great
but I'm just
champions
saying
had the
this,
belt. They're kind of irrelevant now.
Eddie Hearns and Frank Warren fit into this? Like, what would they have to do? You know what I mean? Like, it's an interesting concept. We have to wait and see. We don't want to speculate. We don't want to guess too much. But I tell you what, my friend, my name is Bobby Sampson. Your name is Mr. Chance Michaels.
And in the words of the great ACDC, those that download, like, and subscribe to the podcast, we salute you.
We do salute you, ladies and gentlemen. The clocks are going ahead this weekend. So if you're going to sleep in, go to bed early because you're going to end up waking up early. And that's just the way it is, man. The days are getting longer, which means the beaches are starting to get warmer. Everything is everything. That means you're going to start going out and having fun because you've been locked up inside all winter. And I don't even think we really had much of a winter for except maybe
a couple days of snow and that's it.
We had 2 weeks of winter, in my opinion, throughout the whole season. So we've been really blessed here. Guys and gals, what I'm trying to say is if you're going to go out, you're going to have a good time. Please do so. Enjoy yourselves to the fullest. But just remember, find a safe way home because we want you to come back to listen to our show because we got WrestleMania coming up. We got some great boxing cards coming up. And if you're not around, then how are you going to listen to the great stuff that we're going to tell you about? Also, hard work, patience, and faith. I'm going to say it over and over and over again until it sinks into all your minds. Guys, gals, that's the only way to achieve anything. Nothing is free. Nothing is given. If you think you deserve something, then you haven't earned it. Very simply put, God loves you, but God wants you to work hard and then he'll reward you. Right? It's kind of like parents. If you don't do your chores, you're not going to get an allowance.
Nothing, pretty much.
Nothing is free. Work hard, believe in your dreams, follow your dreams. Forget the people who are telling you you can't because they're the scaredest of them all. They're the people that you don't want to be on a ledge with.
Yeah, absolutely.
Samp and Chance are out. Have a great weekend.